So if I remember correctly, y'all raised like 18,700 from the Rainbow Walk, right? So if we break that out into Book Up Summer Libraries, that's
Today, we are so excited to talk to you about our jurisdictional service project. Kira, to start it off, why don't you tell us about what a jurisdictional service project is?
Sure. Each year, the Grant-worthy advisor elected at Grant Assembly chooses a service project that she would like the entire jurisdiction to work towards, supporting through hands-on and fundraising efforts. In past year, we have supported groups like Hilarity for Charity, Fred Hutch Cancer Research, Trios for Foster Kids, Feeding America, and Northwest Harvest.
This year, as Grant-worthy advisor, I have the absolute honor of getting to choose our jurisdictional service project, and I chose Page Ahead Children's Literacy Program, which is an organization based in Washington State that provides free books to at-risk children in areas with high levels of free and reduced lunch program participants. They provide books, reading materials, and learning access so that these kids can have the opportunity to read.
Today, we are joined by Rebecca Brinberry from Page Ahead, who's here to answer some of our questions.
Thank you for joining us, Rebecca. Our first question for you is, could you tell us a little bit from your view about what Page Ahead is and the work that you all do?
Absolutely. And first of all, thank you so much for A, picking Page Ahead for this project. It's huge for us. And B, giving us a chance to sort of talk about the story, because there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about. So Page Ahead works to close what we call the literacy opportunity gap for kids furthest from educational justice. When we use the term educational justice, it acknowledges that every child deserves to have access to high quality education, but as we all know in reality, it's that those resources are more accessible to communities that are economically better off. So educational justice looks like a more equitable distribution of educational resources. Research shows that elementary kids in families experiencing low income and their better off peers all learn at the same rate during the school year because they all have access to the same resources, right? But it's in the pre-kindergarten years, so babyhood and preschool, and then the months away from school, like summer break, when the educational faucet is kind of turned off, and that's where the gaps can grow the biggest. So Page Ahead programs focus on building home libraries and reading skills that support kids and families during those times so that they're on more equal footing during the rest of their educational school year time and the rest of their educational career.
Wow, that's amazing work that you all do.
So our second question is, what is your role at Page Ahead, and what are some ways that Page Ahead organizes the programs?
So I am the development manager. I am 25% of the Page Ahead staff. There are 4 of us, though we are, as you mentioned earlier, a statewide organization. It's a very decentralized model. We work very closely with school partners all across the state, lots of communities. So we're able to do the work with very few people in the office and still get lots of books and things out to everybody. So personally, I'm responsible for the fundraising and much of the communication strategy that make it possible for our incredible program staff to do the work that they need to do, including our flagship program, which is called Book Up Summer, which this year is going to reach nearly 20,000 kids at more than 100 schools. It's a book fair-based summer reading program for kindergartners, first graders, and second graders at majority low-income schools. They all get to pick 12 brand new books, their own choice, for free at spring book fairs in their schools, and they take them home for summer reading and beyond. And so by the time they reach 3rd grade, they've participated for 3 years. They have home libraries of at least 36 books. So that's something that's supporting their reading development all those early years. So that's the biggest reach that we have. Another program that we have is called Story Leaders, which is our preschool program. This year we're reaching just over 1,000 kids at Head Start and ECAP programs, which are the federally and state supported preschool programs. And that is a school year long project where we provide 8 free books to the classrooms and to the children. They read with their teachers in small groups. They read each book multiple times, and we train the teachers and families in what we call hear and say or shared reading techniques. So it's this research proven way of getting kids really engaged in stories, and it's, you know, asking questions about what you see on the cover and asking questions about, oh, have you ever felt that way? And it's a way that kids can really connect with the books, and it's a really helpful way to develop pre-literacy skills. So we have some schools where we serve in the district both Story Leaders and Book Up Summer, which is really exciting because if they do 2 years of preschool, they get 16 books from Story Leaders, and then they get 3 years of Book Up Summer. So we're just shoving books on shelves in those communities. And then several of our other efforts include something new during the pandemic called Book Oasis. So everything shut down: school libraries, public libraries, classroom libraries, bookstores, right? As we all remember in spring 2020 and beyond. And so what we did in the Seattle area was we identified the neighborhoods that are book deserts, which is a lot like a food desert, right? If you live in an area where you can't reliably get fresh food, you live in a food desert. If you live in an area where you can't reliably find new material to read, you live in a book desert. And there are a lot of those in Seattle neighborhoods. So we identified the ones that line up with schools and communities that we already served. We had specially designed little free libraries. Professional architect designed it for us. That is, they're geared at little browsers, so they're shorter than a normal little free library. And the shelves front picture books out, so it's not just for, like 5x7 paperbacks or something. And so we've installed 18 of those so far across Seattle neighborhoods, and they get refilled on a monthly basis with brand new books from Page Ahead. So it's another pipeline of books going out into the community. We also have a program called Story Time, which is typically in classrooms, and for the last 2 years has mainly not been in classrooms. If you go to Page Ahead's YouTube channel, you will see a big long playlist of all of these amazing recorded videos that we've been doing during the pandemic, where our trained volunteers have not been able to go into classrooms. So instead they're reading the books, and you can watch it anytime. Those are really great. And then throughout the year, we partner with other organizations who serve similar populations. So there's an organization that does a summer school up in Skagit Valley, and we give them books to give to their kids. There are summer programs in Walla Walla. There are all kinds of things, and we will just give them books, and that helps support the work that they're doing with their kids. So in all, we're looking at serving about 23,000 kids across Washington State this year, thanks to community partnerships like y'all's and our partnerships with all of our districts and schools and other nonprofits and things.
Wow, those are some amazing sounding programs, and it really sounds like Page Ahead does a ton of work. This year, Washington, Idaho has been working very hard to gather books to donate to Page Ahead, and we're just wondering, where do they go? What areas are most in need of these books?
That's such a good question. So Book Up Summer, like I mentioned, is our biggest program. And most of our Book Up Summer schools pick their books from school book fair vendors. So, you may have had a Scholastic or a Follett experience in your life where you get to go and shop. Exact same thing, which is what we do. So those do not come from our stock. However, we do use our books for several of our really rural Book Up Summer schools who are too small or too far away for our book vendors to go. So books that get donated to Page Ahead will get boxed up and shipped out to Okanagan or wherever, and they get to sort of browse through them as sort of a home-brewed book fair, if you will. We also use donated books in our Book Oasis little free libraries. Since the first ones got installed in March of last year, so we're 11 months in, we've been averaging about 75 books a week just going out into the community. So that's been a big source for when a book gets donated, it goes there. And like I talked about with our partnerships with other organizations, when we are working with them, we're pulling from donated books that are going out. Organizations like maternity support services, things like that. And then sometimes we have sort of emergency response efforts that we use those books. So when everything shut down in 2020, we partnered with the Tukwila School District south of Seattle, because they were pivoting really quickly to see how can we hand out lunches, how can we hand out homework packets, all of that stuff. So what we said was like, hey, can we give you some books to give out with those things? So within like 2 weeks, I think, of the shutdown, we were every week sending big boxes of books down so that kids could choose, because the self-selection thing is a big part, right? Like when you get to pick your own book, you're that much more excited about it. So having a ton of great books on hand means that we can take those with us, or we can give them to our partners and make it like a really high quality selection. I will also say that we have a really cute little video that actually illustrates the life of a donated book and the path that it takes, that's on our YouTube page. So I know we can share that with y'all too.
Yeah, we can go ahead and cut to that and share that video now.
Does Page Ahead have a need for specific books, and what books do kids love to receive the most?
We do. Generally we are thrilled to get any brand new kids books for babies through young adult, as long as they aren't religious or holiday themed. So that's sort of our basic requirements. And of course they need to be new. More specifically, we can always use books in Spanish, generally picture books all the way up through easy chapter books. And we can always use more picture books for both like the 3 to 5, preschool, kindergarten, and 6 to 9 age groups. We always want books celebrating diversity. And we also know that kids love books with animals, and kids really love joke books. Joke books are always a big hit. So if you need any specific ideas for that, those are some good ones.
Thank you. And our last question for you today is, after books and funds are donated, how do they trickle down, and what does our work look like impact-wise in the community?
That is such a good question. So that life of the donated book is one good example, but another good illustration is that Book Up Summer costs about $45 per child to deliver. And of that $45, about $37 covers the book cost, because we are able to leverage our bulk buying power and keeps the cost to about $3 per book, give or take. And then, so we're only paying $8 for all the other direct program costs on a per child basis. So that's printing the book plates, that's shipping materials, that's the staff time spent directly on the work, things like that. So if I remember correctly, y'all raised like $18,700 from the Rainbow Walk, right? So if we break that out into Book Up Summer libraries, that's 416 Book Up Summer home libraries, which is 12 books each, which means like 4,992 books. So if you want to think about what all of those dollars gets translated into, there's that. And, for context, that's about half of all of the kindergartners that we're serving in Spokane this year. So, it adds up really quickly.
Wow, thank you. I just got chills hearing that. It's amazing to know what our work this year is going to support. That's all of our questions that we have for you. So thank you for joining us and for answering our questions about Page Ahead.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate partnering with y'all this year.